All right, peace and blessings, family. Happy Tuesday. It's Tuesday, 10 to light.
Mm-hmm.
How you doing this? What is it? Where you are? Is it afternoon already?
Yeah, it's after 3.
Oh wow.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so
And you're still enjoying your morning.
yeah, it's 11 o'clock here. So
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Ia, today it's gonna be me and you for a little bit, and I want to take this time to talk about with you a few things. And one of the things I want to talk to you about is sacrifice. What is a sacrifice? And why is it such an element in our lives that we don't even recognize sometimes when we're doing it?
A sacrifice is a way of balancing energy. In other words, you give of whatever it may be. If it's supposed to be adamu, that would be fruits and food. If it's supposed to be able, that would be often that includes an animal. So those are sacrifices, but there is a lot more to sacrifice. Sacrifice, I always say that it goes with the intention. Whatever we do, the energy will follow the intention. The intention itself is energy. And so you have to have the right intention for any sacrifice to be viable or I hate to say accepted because I am not the one to say whether a sacrifice is accepted or not. That would be whoever the sacrifice is being made to. Um, but it's basically to balance energy and to bring us back into harmony and favor and on our right path, to center us. Hmm.
Right.
Um, there are sacrifices we make of other than fruits and vegetables and animals. Sometimes we have to sacrifice time. We have to use time to that's part of the sacrifice, preparing it, and not only preparing mentally but doing that physical preparation that we have to do that takes time. For example, when you're having a bembe or a tambor, you come together, especially an initiation, um, you come together, and what animals have been prescribed, you have to purchase them, and you have to um, sacrifice them, and whatever else the ritual or the particular initiation calls for. But it's time that we have to put that time in. And there are sacrifices of time. Sometimes there are times when we have to put aside what we would like to do in order to do things for other people. I remember Yeye very eloquently spoke about this tradition being one of service.
Mm.
Um, and you sacrifice your time to serve others. You sacrifice sometimes what you want, what you want physically, or what you might want in other ways. I want to go home and do whatever. But no, I have made a pact to go and talk with my sister. She has or watch her children as she takes some time to go shopping or whatever. She just takes some time to be quiet and be to herself. That also is a sacrifice. Sometimes you consider that a sacrifice because you're doing something for someone else that you would like to, have that time for yourself. but you sacrifice yourself. It's interesting that in many, many cultures, many years ago, people would sacrifice other people, which is not what we do, nor do we look favorably upon that. But when you think about it, that's the ultimate sacrifice of sacrificing your. There are rulers and kings and pharaohs who, when they died, their wives or their children or the people that worked with them or served them knew that they were going to die too. That was just their culture. And although it seems cruel, maybe even barbaric to us now in this time in which we're living, it was their culture, and that's the way they did things. So sacrifice, again, I say it's to balance out the energy. You usually get what you need to, get the instruction to do particular ebo or sacrifice to whatever deity, whatever orisha. You get that when you're on the mat, usually, when they're doing a reading for you. It will come through in the reading that whatever orisha it is that's speaking at that time will want you to do whatever. Example, when this was a couple of years ago, but anyway, it came through that Oshun wanted red roses, and so Baba said, "What? That doesn't sound right." And he went back and looked, and that is what she wanted, along with the other things. So sometimes it's flowers, sometimes it's it's a different set of things like fruits and vegetables and flowers, or I'm trying to think of what else. Sometimes it's a bath. They get the Orisha will instruct you, and the Egun as well will instruct you on a bath. What is to go into the water, what herbs you should be using. Sometimes it's something that you have to ingest, like a tea or herbal tea. The other thing is often, and I'm glad I'm getting the opportunity to say this because I didn't say it the last time I mentioned this. Often we will sacrifice an animal, let's say at a bembe, where there are many people. Then we consume that animal, and if we have more than we can consume, we share it with others in the community. However, this is the part I didn't say before, and this is really important. It depends on why the animal was sacrificed. If it was to clear up some negative energy, then we don't consume that, because the animal has taken on it through the sacrifice, through the blood, through the heat of the blood. The animal has taken on that negative energy. That was the whole point for that particular ebo. So we don't eat that, that meat. That's about it.
So, communication with ancestor spirits. Why is that important? One. And two, how does that normally happen?
Okay, communication with Egun is important because, well, for me, number one, I find it very comforting to talk to my ancestors or to communicate with my ancestors. They are your first line of communication with spirit, with the spirit world, because they're the closest to you, especially your parents, your mother and your father. You are you are your mother and father. You're not a likeness of them, or you are them. That's who you are. Um, so they're the closest things to you and to God. They're the go-between. There are other go-betweens. There's your spirit guides. There's the angels. There are the Orisha. There are the Amole. There are other connections to creative God source. But your first line of defense are your ancestors.
Oh, fuck. Sorry, Mom.
Oh, I'm so sorry.
That's okay.
Now, what? Now that was the ancestors. I'm just playing about that. Uh, Something happened. I'm not sure what. Anyway, um, yeah, they're your first line of defense. They bring you messages. They bring you messages that protect you and that guide you and that will keep you from falling into a pit sometimes. Your ancestors also come through in that place that we call um, your intuition. Sometimes it's your intuition, but a lot of times it's your ancestors whispering in your ear and telling you, don't do that. And they tell us a lot of times, they tell us that they're proud of us if we do something, um, that's really good, and that is going to bring us closer to our goal, which is to elevate. Um, okay, so that's why it's good to communicate with them. The best way to communicate with them is just to talk to them. But you also want to have a nice, if you can, have a little space in your home where you put your ancestor altar, because that is a place to center the energy of the ancestors and to bring your own energy to that. And you've taken your time to set it up, to commune with them, because they'll let you know if they don't want something that you might have on the altar. And then they'll let you know if they want something else. For example, my father used to smoke without the filterless Camel cigarettes. Well, when I found a pack of those, I bought them, I put them on the altar for him, and I talked to him about his Camels that he liked to smoke. And he also liked Paul Mall, from years ago. Those were the kind of cigarettes that the men smoked, those very strong,
Yes.
hooky cigarettes. Um, but my uncle, he smoked cigars, so I put cigars on the altar for him. So it's a place where that energy converges, and as you spend time there, the other thing is it is good to make a pact with your ancestors about how you are going to communicate with them. That's a lot of times we don't do that. You need to talk to your ancestors to say, I will clean the glasses of water. You can have one glass or 3 or 5 or 9 or 7. I will clean these glasses every week. If you're not going to clean them every week, then make the pact with them or the agreement to clean them once a month. Now, I don't know how you're going to go a whole month with them glasses, but you know, you might be able to do that, depending on where you live, I guess. Um, or the other thing is for, I know a lot of people, what they do is they have a special cooked meal on Sundays. And that's the meal they say to the ancestors. Every Sunday, you know, we will have, when I cook that Sunday meal, your plate will be there. The food is energy, and it's good if you put food there that you know they like. If they like chitlins and hog maw and black eyed peas and greens, you don't have to eat that if you don't want to. But they liked it. Give it to them. Cook up a pot and give it to your ancestors. You don't have to cook tons, but just, you know, something for them if that's what they really enjoyed. Fruit. A lot of our ancestors, they loved fruit. Put a little bit of that on the altar, but talk to them as you are doing these things. Let them know, Aunt so and so, I know that you like, I have an aunt that loved pomegranates. And so whenever they're in season and I see them, I always buy one for her and I put it on the altar and let her know that here's your pomegranate for this year or for this month or whatever it is. So you want to build up that kind of relationship with your ancestors, and as you build it, you'll you'll sense, you'll hear, you'll feel, you'll smell, you'll know that they are there with you and they are talking to you. The other thing that is so important that we forget to do often, call their name.
Right.
Call the name of the ancestor that you are endeavoring to communicate with. And then you can always say, and those whose names I do not know. That's fine because you might not know your great great grandmother or great great grandfather's name, but you know you had one, or else you wouldn't be here. So just, you know, let them know that you're calling on them and you need their strength. You need their help. You need their happiness, the good times that they had. Please shower me with some of those blessings because I'm having a hard time here. I need you. I want to be, I want to have a good day. I'd like to be happy today. Please be with me and shower me with your blessings and your happiness and your protection. Hey, before you go out of your house, um, if you don't have the Orisha, so you don't have a shoe or a legua, you have your ancestors. They're always with you. Before you go out of your house, ask them to guide and protect you as you step out of your house, to keep the house safe. Let it be here when I come back, and let me come back in one piece, please, Mama, or great grandma, or Susie, or Junebug, or whatever the name is. And you build that just like you build a relationship with anybody. You build that, but they're so close to you, it doesn't take that much to build it because they know you. They know you because you are them and they are you.
Right on.
So
Right on.
that's how you would communicate with them. And that's why you would communicate with them because you want to have a better life. And they want you to have a better life.
What would you suggest in terms of when people are going through grieving processes? What are some of the ways people can begin and start the grieving process when you have loved ones who have passed on and maybe
Yeah,
they're not ancestors yet?
yeah, I would defer to what Ifa Madupwe said. I thought that that was brilliant. Cry. Let your tears flow. If that's how you felt or that's how you feel, let that cleansing take place. Let the grief come. Uh, don't try to hold it back or hold it in when it is appropriate for you. You know, if you want to be private about it, that's fine. But there's nothing soft about letting tears flow from your eyes, whether you're male or female. That's a normal human reaction. And so we bathe away our sadness and our grief when we're able. When you have a good cry, you always feel better afterwards.
Yes, you do.
hmm So that is really important. The other thing about grieving is sometimes if this works for you, you got to share your grief with others. That's why we have the whole funeral business is for the living, because the person that transitioned is in the east is looking at you, grieving for them. They're gone. Um, the other thing is we remember. You can remember those who transitioned during the funeral time. Some people say 9 days, but whatever the situation may be, you can remember the person. But my suggestion is that unless you get a message from that person, say, for instance, in a dream, or you just feel it in your gut somehow, but you should give them at least a year and a day, but a year to make it to make their journey home, and then put them on your Egun altar. Um, that is better to do it that way. Um, but you always, that's the one thing I love about this tradition is you are
Would your son walk out the house?
no,
Oh, no.
he's getting ready to go, and the dog goes little bunkers. Anyway, the dog don't care if I go. The dog don't make a sound. Or if I ever come back, he don't care. But um, anyway, getting back to our ancestors, yeah, give them the time to make their journey home. You have to realize, if you just think about it, when it's time to transition, you go to the spirit world. You have to reestablish yourself within your spiritual self, which is your real self. Um, it's like when we come into this human existence, we're babies and we have to learn how to eat and how to stand and how to, you know, do all sorts of things. But when we go back to the spirit world, it's like you're coming home from a long vacation. Well, I don't know if I'd call this human existence a vacation, but I guess you could. Um, you're coming home from a long journey, and you have to reacclimate yourself to your spirit self. You know, you have to get back into alignment and sync with your spirit self. So give them. Some people they feel, oh, mama's gone, and I'd love to talk to her or see her in my dreams or whatever. And you don't understand why she doesn't come to you in your dreams. You're asking for her to come and so forth. Well, you know, our ancestors are busy. They're just not sitting on some cloud with a violin or a harp. They're busy taking care of all of the relatives who are in that particular soul family, and so, or other things that they have to do. Um, so give them some time to transition, and and be happy for them. You know, be happy for them. We say rest in peace. Goodness knows they're resting in peace. We want to make sure that they're resting in peace. So give them that food, give them the fruits, and light the candles, call their name, give them that glass of water that is a conductor of energy. Put their favorite hat or their favorite cigarettes or whatever it is. Put that there. Um, you can even take a puff of the cigar or the cigarette if you want for them. Say this is for you. A cup of tea. If you had an auntie that loved coffee, a particular kind of coffee, brew it for her and put a cup of that coffee on your altar and call her name, Aunt so and so. I need your help, or Aunt so and so. Thank you for being the best aunt that I could have ever had. Don't forget gratitude. They're not there just to do work for us. It's always good. Just like we like in this human form, we like it when people acknowledge us
Mhm.
and say thank you for the work that you're doing. Thank you for giving me some food to eat. Thank you for washing my clothes, whatever it may be. The same goes for our ancestors. Thank you for the work for just being you and getting through and making it possible for me to be here at this time and do the work that I'm doing. It's because of you and the work that you did. We have so much to we have so much to give and to acknowledge when it comes to our ancestors. And then I know this is a little off the topic, but don't forget to give that acknowledgement to your loved ones who are still alive. Sometimes we wait until the person's gone before we let them know how we feel about them. And
So true.
yeah, so
Probably one of the things I've done since I probably was in my, I know I started doing it in my teenage years, and I still do it now. And I haven't done it lately, but I have like, because most of the people who I would write to are now ancestors. But when they were alive, I had a list of like, it started off being like 20 or so elders, and I would
mhm,
write them, like I would send them a birthday card or Mother's Day card, or just because I'm traveling
mhm,
and I thought about you, I sent them a postcard, and they would just love, love, love,
mhm,
love, love, love.
mhm. Yes, that.
They just would love it. My uncle Stanley was on that list as well. And when he died, I got a lot of my letters and stuff back because we were there cleaning his place,
Yeah.
you know. And I got some of the letters that I wrote him even when I was like maybe like in middle school. Um,
Yes.
and so he held on to those things. That those things to him were, I don't know if he read them more a lot. But now that a lot of those people who have transitioned, you know, it's sometimes it becomes hard to communicate with folks. I mean, you know what I mean? Like, because I love, cause I know that what I learned that elders love to get mail, like good mail,
Mhm.
postcard. They see that, you know, how you doing? This is how my life is going, or whatever. They like getting those things from the mailbox. You know what
Yeah.
I'm saying?
Yep.
They love that. Uh,
I love it. I'll tell you that. We used to write letters years ago. We wrote letters a lot more than we do now. But I'm even appreciative when I get an email that says whatever, and that I wasn't expecting. That makes me happy. I think it makes anybody happy, whether you're an elder or a young woman or a young man, just for somebody to acknowledge you and say, and you know something else, I'm going to tell you. Uh, it is really important for us as Black folk who are getting ourselves back into our rightful mind and our rightful place. And we are doing that. To tell the fathers of our children and likewise the mothers of our children that we appreciate them, we love them, or like them, whether you had to do something with them because you got a job. So to let them know that, they're doing the best that they know how to do, and their son or their daughter, you're happy that you have their son or their daughter. Now, I don't mean make it up if she's a pain in the ass and he's a pain even more in the ass. I'm not saying to say it if it's not true, but for the most part, people are doing the best they know how at this time. When you know better, you do better, but they're doing the best they know how with their children.
Right on.
That's all. And it's nice to acknowledge that at some point. It just is. And it makes things so much. And stop, for God's sake, using the children as some kind of leverage to get what you want from them, from the other partner. The children are innocent, and you got to do the best you can by them. And I don't know how I got on that subject, but anyway.
Because maybe we needed to hear that.
Mm.
Sister Allison is saying, how do we handle or deal with an ancestor who transitioned but comes in a dream asking for things to be given to them or so? Do we comply or do we wait a year and then give it to them?
No, if an ancestor comes to you, no matter when it is, and says, for example, I want some apple pie or some fruits, get me some soursop, something, that we don't usually get, or I want a mango, or I want that yellow dress that I used to wear all the time. I want that, or whatever it is that they may want. I don't care if it's not been a year. That's okay. If they contact you in some way, and it can just be a knowing within your heart and it's usually in your gut that you feel it, and just give it to them. It's the only reason why we wait that year is just to give them some time. It's the spirit world. Some people need, and don't forget, time is different in the spirit world than it is here. So we call it a year. For all we know is 10 minutes in the spirit world, or less, So just comply. If spirit comes to you and ask for whatever, try your best to comply with it. Now, the other thing is, as I say that though, is remember, there's always two sides to every coin. So there are good spirits, and then there are those mischievous spirits who like to start trouble. So you keep your good common sense going. And my grandmother used to say common sense ain't very common, which it isn't, but try to use as much as you got. So, if you get some messages that don't sit right with your spirit, go along with what your spirit is telling you. It won't lead you wrong. And then if you are troubled by any kind of perhaps mischievous spirits and you don't seem to be able to take care of it, go get yourself a reading so that you can know what's going on and do what's necessary. That's what I started talking about the sacrifice and bringing things into balance. Sometimes when we get that negative energy upon us or that mischievous spirit comes into our being, we need help getting rid of it. So just keep your common sense,
Mm.
like you would do if you're going to buy a car.
What do you do for people who maybe when they were alive they was hellraisers? Are there certain people we're not supposed to remember? Because like when you're in Ghana, they have like the blackened stools, and then the stools where the kings were good. So
Yeah.
yeah,
And, that is a controversial question. There are several schools of thought when that comes in, and each situation has to be weighed on its own merits. But my rule of thumb is I I give praise and honor to all of my ancestors. It's hard for me to think of one that wasn't really good, but that wasn't human. We make mistakes, but if you have somebody, let's say you have Jeffrey Dahmer in your line, who what did he do? He killed and ate the folks. Well,
yeah.
you don't want to be calling his name. Lord, I shouldn't have said it, but you don't want to be calling his name too often because he needs that. That is the kind of ancestor, and perhaps not even that extreme, that you want to leave alone. That just to be on the safe side. Just to be on the safe side. You want to leave that alone. Then, too, you always have to remember. That's what I love about this. Um, Everything is its own situation. You have to remember that before we incarnate, we make an agreement with those people who come into our lives to have a certain experience with them. So, and this is the example I always use, and it makes people very uncomfortable, but
Okay.
it's the truth. It's the truth of the matter.
Okay.
That man that raped you, you made an agreement with that man before you incarnated to have that experience. It could be for him to learn a lesson through it, whatever that might be. Or it could be for you to learn a lesson through it, whatever that might be. But we make those agreements before we reincarnate. So that ancestor that was a murderer, let's say, uh, what comes to mind is that man, I forget what town that was in, that had killed all those girls. You sent the information out about 2 months ago.
There was two of them, Unseen and the Grim Creeper, the Grim Sleeper. What was it?
Yeah, that
It was Ohio.
it was the Grim Sleeper. I saw that. I said, "Oh my God, this is." It was hard to even fathom that somebody could do that. But can you imagine if that's your father or your son or your lover? Um, you know, I don't know that I would be wanting to call his name too often, or to give him any sacrifices, or to have his energy anywhere near my Agun altar. And
Mm.
it would be very hard to accept, although I know it be true, but the acceptance of it would be hard for me and for those women that he violated to feel that I made this agreement before I reincarnated. It's a very hard thing to swallow. and everybody has to do it in their own time, in their own way. And it's perfectly fine if you say, no, this couldn't be. I wouldn't have made this agreement. But always think about what you have learned from that particular experience.
I think, and I hear what you're saying. I think for me, that may be something you would have to think about when you cross back into the spirit world. I think there are some things you can't do in this world because that's hard
True.
to say. I made an agreement for this man to murder me. Like that, just you can't even do that because you dead. But when you
Yeah.
get back into the spirit world, I can see you being like, "Ooh, that was a hell of a trip." Like, you know what I mean? Or wow. But I feel like I don't know what would possess somebody to do something that wicked to somebody.
Yeah, it's very hard to. I struggle with it all the time. Um, when you talk about the grim sleeper, I mean, what he did, those women, yeah, I can't, I don't think I would be able to say, oh, I made this agreement with this man to do this. He did some horrible things. But you make a good point. Getting back into the spirit world, then you might be able to deal with it in a different way.
Uh,
The other thing about that is you have to realize that that particular spirit, the grim sleeper guy, um, there are things that he's going to have to atone for. Atonement, yeah, we don't talk about that too often, but atonement is very important. You have to atone for your misdeeds.
well, one of the things I do remember hearing the elders say in my family, and I believe this because I've seen it, is that before we all leave, we all have to pay. Nobody leaves this plane without paying the price. You may think you're gonna slide by, but the universe really don't work like that.
Nope.
You
You
made up on the
pay.
hospital bed, you're gonna pay before you leave up out of here. And so I never forgot that. And sometimes that brought me peace, honestly. When you be so mad at somebody, but they my eyes say, just keep living, just keep living. I was like, oh, I hate when you say that. But
Hmm.
as I got older, I understood what keep living really meant. And
Hmm.
you have to keep living. But the other part is everybody pays. So
Yeah,
everybody.
everybody pays, so you don't have to worry about 45. He's gonna get it.
Yep. Everybody. And I know that
Eh,
in the moment you just be feeling like, I'm just so sick of this fool. But in the long run, you just be like, I just,
Sometimes that payment, though, comes in the guise of your children.
Okay, now hold on. Break that down a little bit, Ian.
Well, I I'm gonna say this. Mm. I don't know anything about 45's last son, whoever, whatever his name is. I don't know, but it seems just from the reports that have been out that he's, you know, not all there. So that could be 45's comeuppance. You know, he's paying through this child that is not so good, not all there. I don't know. That might be a poor example, but let's take that another example. Is you this has happened. Working in the prisons, I found this. You're in prison for whatever, let's say murder. So you're going to be in prison and you got 35 years or life, 35 years to life. And then you turn around 20 years later, or let's say, no, you turn around, yeah, 20 years later or 15 years later, and who you see coming in the door being processed but your son.
Mm.
So, what your example and your not being there for him or whatever else that took place um, has brought him to this same place where you find yourself. You don't want that for your child.
Mm,
Not if you got brains in your head. So the bad that you did to those people through murder or whatever it is coming right back. Or he doesn't come into the same facility, but he gets murdered.
I've seen that. I've seen it. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
I've seen that happen more times than I would like to see. Or your daughter get raped. You're in there for rape, and your daughter gets raped.
So,
That's yeah.
so Sister Renee on here is saying the Kennedy family, they all pay for Papa Joe's actions, and probably grandfathers. You're absolutely correct. If you're tuning in, this is African Spiritual Conversations on the Earth Mama Healing Network. All we ask of you, if you could, to support us, is to go to your YouTube channel and subscribe. We want to have programming that reflects us. And I love being able to sit. I don't know how many times y'all can do this. It's been my whole life. I've always sat with my elders and gotten wisdom and understanding. And so my Uncle Stanley used to say, you get that information. So when people come back to you with the remix, you can say, oh, I already know about that one.
Mm-hmm.
But if you think it's something new under the sun, they get you every time.
Yeah, ain't nothing new.
Yeah, so I love when I can sit and ask those kind of questions, and the way you fit that into a perspective is great. Is there any way to curb generational? Because one of the things I do recognize and love is that I look at, like, my great nephew. His name is Zakai Curtis. Zakai is Hebrew, means innocent. So even though he's named for his grandfather, he is the innocent Curtis, not the old Curtis. Is there anything you could do to clear some of the things that could be coming your kids' way because of your actions?
Oh, yes. And that's why some of us are here to clear that away, some of that generational trauma. I would dare say, Ro, that that's the seat in which you sit, because you talk about it all the time.
Yeah.
The generational trauma that we have as a people,
Yeah.
So yes, sacrifice, doing the ABOs helps us to clear up that generational trauma, and also having the experiences that we have are sometimes, I don't want to say in payment of, but to balance the scales of that generational trauma. Many of us who are living during this time are here to clear up that generational trauma that was suffered by those who worked in those fields. You do notice that we're going back to those fields, but we ain't working for other people. And I see Jay Vaughn in my head.
Yes.
We ain't working for them other people. We got the land and we're working for ourselves. And
Right.
we're putting in our own food and our own animals, and those beautiful fruit trees that she has lining the driveway there. Those are beautiful, and they're going to yield such good fruit.
So true.
And So, yeah, there are ways for us to heal generational trauma. If you have something that's weighing very heavy on your heart, I'll say, as I always do, get a reading from a reputable priest, that is, or priestess.
How do you know if somebody's reputable?
Usually through word of mouth. Usually through the work that they have done with other folks. And again, every Baba or Yanifa is not there for everybody. Some people you just don't, you don't gravitate to. Doesn't mean that they're not good readers. It just means that your energy and their energy is not meshing together. So sometimes you'll go to a reader and you'll get a really good reading, but it doesn't feel right for you or to you. So you don't go back to that reader. That's all. But not because that reader tells you something that makes you mad or that you don't want to hear, but because you feel that your energies just didn't flow well together. Yeah, it's always you have to use your own common sense. You always do. You have to listen to that small voice with sometimes it's not so small, sometimes it's yelling at you. This ain't a good idea. Um, so you have to listen to that voice that comes from within. And if you do that, I'd say 9.9 times out of 10, you're correct. You're right. If you listen to your heart and your head and your gut.
Right on. Why is
And one other thing, always remember this. You got 2 feet. Use them. If you somewhere and you don't feel right, get the hell up, put your feet in gear, and go about your business. And don't be ashamed or afraid to do it.
Right on. Last question. Why is it important to be careful with your words and not curse people?
Oh, you asked the wrong question. I mean, you asked the wrong person. Because
it's kind of like when you say, like, I hate this person, but you're in the moment, but you realize like how powerful. My mother was big on words because her parents were deaf and mute. So my mother was big on the vibration of words on people's psyche, and you cannot take those things.
That's right.
Get out.
Yeah. That's a lesson that I had to learn and that I'm still learning because I'm quick with the flippant sayings and the mouth. I got 1 or 2 slaps in the mouth for that when I was young. And I never forgot it. But of course, that didn't curb me from saying a few more things. But anyway, language. And the language carries sound. And of course, as we speak, that sound carries a vibration with it. You can either have a low vibration or a high vibration. So you want to be very careful with your language. Now, you also must remember that English is not our native language. And we're doing the best we know how with it. But there are a lot of hidden meanings behind certain words that don't even, we're not even conscious of those until somebody brings it to our attention that this word really means so and so and so and so. Now, the example you gave of I hate you, no, you don't. You want to check yourself. You don't want to say that to people, even if you're saying it in the heat of the moment. It can be hurtful, and it can come back on you. See, the other thing about words is they have a tendency to boomerang. So be careful. That saying, be careful what you ask for, because you just might get it. That's because of your words. Your intention, first it forms in your head as a thought, and then it'll come out of your mouth and it goes out into the ether and it ripples out into the universe. That's why we say that we can put things out there that we want to manifest. We call it prayer, but it's manifestation. We put it out there and it comes to us. So you want to stay away from calling people bitches and hoes and motherfuckers. You know, you don't want to do that because
Right.
that comes back. So the cursing, you have to try. Now I remember um, I was at a ceremony and one of the barbers there, I'll never forget him. He was a great man. He's still alive. He told me, he said, you, the spirits, you know, the particular Orisha that we were propitiating at that time, said, you have to stop cussing. And I did. I stopped for a while, but sometimes every now and again it comes slipping out. It just comes out. Um, some of the words that we use in terms of, we're going to talk about cuss words. Some of those words are not even, you know, negative, really. They have taken on that persona through this socialization or this time that we're living in, but they're really not, you know, really bad or terrible words. They don't carry a negative energy. Um, and then some of the words that we use that we don't even understand the background or the history of the word do have negative connotations. So we just have to be careful with our language and how we, especially how we speak to one another. Um, and for some of us, it's harder than for others. Some people, just the way they speak is soothing and gentle and loving and just beautiful. And then others of us, we just say whatever's on our mind at the time. But now, the thing is, that may be, and you recognize it in yourself. Now it's time to say, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to say that. I said it in the heat of the moment, and I will make every effort not to do that again because I realize how hurtful uh, it was.
Right on. Right on. Well, Ia, thank you so much
Thank
for talking
you.
with me today. You definitely got comments in here. I just love the tempo of your voice and the wisdom that comes from it. Because these are the things I will be sitting with my elders that are now ancestors and ask them about different things. I learned a lot about who I am as a woman from being around those older women back in the day. Like just
Mhm.
the way that they carried themselves, the way that they were real good on looks. Like in terms of the way they would look at a person, you would know like when something wasn't right, when something was like, baby, you did a good job. Like it's just we just have a way of doing things.
Mhm.
Know if
Yeah.
something's good or not good, or take that back, or whatever.
Yeah.
I'm
Yeah.
so
What?
glad I was able to learn that.
Yeah. Yeah. And watch your mouth now.
But
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
watch.
Yeah. You know. Yeah. Watch your mouth. And you know. Yeah.
I
Don't make me have to get up and come over there.
yeah, I used to get that. Watch what you say.
Mhm. Mhm.
Before I would say it, I'm like, watch yourself. And you're
Mhm.
like, okay, yes, ma'am. So I
Mhm.
was so grateful because just as I get older, I'm just so grateful because I feel like those are the days that you pray that it will be a blessing that you will live long enough to do.
Yes.
All of us
Yeah.
don't live long enough to do it.
It's true. It's true. Um, yeah, I'm grateful for every day, and just pray that I. Part of my prayer every morning is to be um, to be conscious of the blessings that to be a blessing to everyone that I come in contact with today and to open myself up to the blessings that are coming my way. I'm a big person on don't block your blessings. And we do that. You know, we have a tendency sometimes to block our blessings. So I make that prayer to eschew every morning to help me to be a blessing just to one person today, and not to block the blessings that are coming my way, open to the blessings that are coming my way.
That's almost like, I was really good at this. Say if I did something, I got in trouble because I knew how to hold my tongue, I didn't get as much trouble. But
Yeah.
some people would get in a lot of trouble because they kept doing this. They was like, I wasn't even going to do that. But since you got to keep talking, I guess I need to oblige. So I would always be like, yes, ma'am. Like immediately I would be like, I would just hold it right there. They would be like, hold it, Londa.
Yeah, and I was the one that would keep talking, and then all of a sudden something would dawn on me. This ain't getting better. The more you talk, the more trouble you're getting in. You better close your mouth. Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah, I was just like, oh my God, stop, girl, stop.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I always tell the story that one time I was skipping school and I ran and jumped on the bus. Me and a friend of mine who was skipping school. We didn't know. We actually went up a block to get on, thinking that they were gonna stop at our school. But one of our hall monitors, her name was Miss May, same name as my mom, May Thompson. She was waiting 2 stops down because she knew some of us was gonna skip. And when she got on the bus and seen us, and she told us to get up and get off, immediately I did exactly what she said because I knew I was wrong.
Mm-hmm.
I debated it so much. She had an excuse and she said, "Where's your slip?"
Mm-hmm.
It's like, girl, we skipping. Like, just get up.
Get off the bus. Yeah.
Like, there's no need to. I just never understood that. Like, girl, we already in trouble. Like, Austin, gig is up.
Mm-hmm.
So I never forgot that. Like, just in terms of like, it's all. We was, like, come on, we got busted. We didn't make it.
Yep. Didn't make it today. Now we might try it again next week.
Say about it. It's not like if we ain't going to say happy today.
Yeah.
Today we surely are busted today, so we have to try another day, but it ain't going to be today. So, but I was just so grateful for understanding. Elders just taught me things like if your mother just asked you something and you just did it, it's not even about what you did. It's to see if you're gonna lie.
Yeah.
Once you lie. Ooh.
Yeah, because they already know.
They are. That's what you said. Because especially if you just did like, come on, like she asked you something they would never ask you.
Mm-hmm. They already know. Miss so and so down the block either saw you, or mothers. They just have this intuition. They know their children. They know there's something in them. They just say, You went in there and took them cookies that I told you to leave alone. And you'd be saying, no, ma'am, no, I didn't. Yes, you did.
Right.
You were at that boy's house. I told you to stay the hell away from. See, there I go, hell. Yeah. I told you to stay away from him and come straight home from school. No, I wasn't at. Yes, you were. You know you were there. They know you were there.
Well, I'll tell you this. Sister Simpson says you better close your mouth before you get the taste slapped out your mouth. I've heard. But I remember one time my mother, I got busted for something, and she was like giving me a whole lecture, and then she said, "What you got to say for yourself?" And so you pause because you may not have a way of answering.
Mm-hmm.
Go and say something. She'd be like, "You ain't got shit to say." Like you have nothing. Like she don't even want to hear it. Like you have nothing to say. But if you don't say,
more like,
well, now you ain't got nothing to say.
Say.
I don't know.
So you're damned if you do and you're damned if you don't. So just make a choice. Choose one or the other.
That used to make me laugh. So in my head, I'd be laughing. That's why I would tend to the bus. I laugh down because I just be like, I can't give her an explanation because she's gonna be like, you ain't got nothing to say. You got their dad got something to say, or you have nothing to say.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like I don't know what I should do. I'm kind of afraid right now. I don't have the right answer.
Well, there's your answer. And she'll say, "Oh, you're afraid now, are you? You should have been afraid before you did that." Yeah, I know, because I used all of them things.
Oh, I used to be like, please don't call my mama. I don't care what you do, but don't call me.
For my mama.
No, I can fix it. In school, I'll be like, I can fix it. I can fix it. You don't have to call my mama because I'm gonna fix whatever the issue is. Because I just don't want to hear her mouth. I mean, you know what I'm saying? Like, because then she gonna tell everybody. Then by the time I get home, I'm walking down the block because I'm from Philly, and everybody on the block know, like especially the older women, like, girl, like, come on, you done told everybody.
And then the people, the your friends that are your age are saying, "Ooh, you in trouble."
Said, don't let your mouth write a check that your ass can't cash. Oh,
yeah. I love that one.
Immediate shut up question for me. I mean, that's his immediate response. It's like, I'm gonna say that. Just
but zip it up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes. I'm of the old school. Like, saying somebody arguing, if my mom go like this, that means we just shut up. Like my mom until she just be like, and then you be like, you want to like, but you don't say that because if your mama tell you to shut it up,
shut up. You shut it up. Yeah.
No debate.
Oh man,
debate. It's not up for debate. That's my foot a lot. So my mom's like, I know Londa here. I'm like, oh, don't please don't call my mama. Please, whatever it is, talk to me first. You say you'll call my mama, I will immediately be on freeze. Like, say who? You ain't got to call her up. We can fix this right now. That's how about the meeting. We can fix this right now. This is fixable. We don't have to. You ain't got to get involved in this.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. This was a joy. But I do miss Ifeoma Dugwe. I miss her wisdom. She has a way of just putting tying a bow on it,
Yeah, she her moving into this new house, she had people coming in doing stuff, and I'm going to check up on her this afternoon to see how she's doing. So.
Okay, well, send her my love.
I will.
Okay.
I will see you tomorrow. Peace, family.
Peace.
And now.